Juro Imikamannagu. And with me today at Juro, Olajumoke Alaude James. He's looking so lovely. And we'll be discussing the forthcoming Easter celebration in Nigeria. The Juro from Rabbi, who is Juro Evans Ufeli, he will be explaining why the dollar is not the problem. That is true. And Juro Cyril Abaku, who has a rallying cry for Africa's youth. I'll be talking about Nigeria's need for more global economic missionaries. But that will be in a moment. Please stay with us.
Middleman.
Welcome back to the Middleman of Juros. My case. Nigeria needs more global economic missionaries. Nigeria has found itself in a tight corner over balance of payment deficits arising from the inability of foreign investors to repatriate their funds to their home countries. This has pushed us into a dollar scarcity crisis with attendant pressure on the Naira. In trying to fix the deficit, the Central Bank of Nigeria has had to raise interest rates twice this year, while the Nigeria Customs Service has increased import duty rates by over 500%. There has been a raft of other measures by government, including shutting down the Nigerian platforms of crypto firms. In recent days, government says these measures have lowered the dollar rate significantly. However, the problem of poor dollar receipts arising from trade deficits, including lowered oil production, as a result of oil theft, remains. So, is there another way out? I think so. Now, serious nations have from ancient times used economic missionaries to build bilateral relations with other countries and to help to increase their balance of trade. Today, nations such as USA, China, India, South Africa have rallied economic missionaries to invest in Nigeria and steadily tip their balance of trade in their favor. We have seriously neglected to do anything in that direction. Not even in Liberia, where we fought a war, and even in Sierra Leone and other places. And as such, we've continued to suffer negative balance of trade. The Nigerian government needs to help the existing economic missionaries, such as Dangote, Glo, Airpeace, GZI, Paystack, top banks such as Access, UBA, GT Bank, First Bank, etc., to widen their reach beyond a few African countries. The International Monetary Fund actually says that the leading Nigerian banks have more operating capital than the GDP of some African countries. So in return for government's help, these economic missionaries will repatriate badly needed forex to Nigeria. The possibilities are limitless. It will take some critical thinking to achieve this. My verdict: the human mind is a universe of boundless opportunities. Therefore, it's not enough for us to be seeking foreign investors. We must also take the fight to other nations of the world to make our impact felt. Thank you.
Yeah, this is a deep case. We have suffered economically from many fronts. The balance of trade you talked about in our traditional economics simply means a situation where your export and your import
balance
are,
commensurate
and cohesive, and same, is impacting positively on the economy. Okay. In our environment, we've not had such balance of trade. We've been having negatives because if you look at our exports, it does not balance with our imports. And the cry is quite relevant now that the economic missionaries, who happen to be the surviving investors, indigenous to our country, have a role to play here, because at this point, we have, by our conduct and choice, chased away the multinationals that were actually responsible for the huge employment of our citizens. And now we are left with some indigenous ones, some struggling, some very okay and balanced. There's a need for the federal government to, align properly with them to save us from what we are into. Because the truth is that investors who are going to come, who want to come into the country today, are not going to come on the basis of the fact that Nigeria is secured, on the basis of the fact that the Naira is doing well. they are going to come through these economic missionaries. The one already doing well with strategies. Okay, so it is important that we shift our direction, our focus. So I'm happy now that there's an economic team set up where the bigger investors in the country are the ones. But one of the problems we've had over time is even when you have these setups, execution becomes a problem. Okay, so we need an overhauling of the entire Nigerian economy, from balance of payment to balance of trade, to increase national income, to stabilize the country for investors to come in, and to project the real dream of the Nigerian state, which should be for the general prosperity of all and sundry.
I'd like to use a very typical example to explain why I think that our balance of trade should be that even though some of us want imported goods, we should also export other things that people abroad also want. For instance, I am a distributor for a company where we import, we call it the king of herbs, Ganoderma lucidum in beverage, right? Because Ganoderma lucidum will only grow in China. And for many, many years, they've only kept that herb for royals. It helps you grow, it improves your longevity. It also helps your body restore itself back to health. Now, rather than tell Jumoke, because the people who say, why there's no balance of trade, is because we love importing things. Rather than tell Jumoke not to import Ganoderma lucidum that she needs or wants, we should encourage the local yam farmers. Nigeria's yam is desirable and wanted all over the world. We should encourage the local yam farmers produce more than what we can consume. So we belly full, eat our pounded yam, and then export like Ghana
Nigeria is
to the UK,
highest producer,
to the US. All the countries that are looking, because former Minister of Agriculture, Audu Ogbe, tried it and the yams spoiled on our high seas.
During Jonathan.
Yes,
they did it under Buhari.
Buhari's first term between 2015 and 2019. Anyway, so our balance of trade will improve when, even though we are importing some things that we want, the ones that we do not need to import, and we're only importing them because of lack of electricity, like hair cream or toothpaste or toothpick, all the things we can produce here. It's just lack of power that is making it more expensive for us to produce here, so we need to import them. But the things that we do not have that we want to import, the trade will balance eventually.
It will balance, but when I look a bit more deeply in the thoughts that Jura Madunaga has brought up this, on this occasion, I'm thinking that it will take a very, very altruistic, a very nationalist thinking government to sit back and look at this sort of solution. Because in reality, when you look at the quantum of corruption in the system today, there's very little space left for genuine and original ideas like this to thrive. That's one. Then number two is the fact that why I talk of nationalist economic thinking is because companies like Tata by India are not just here for business. They are here to stamp India's face presence in your face. How many before that happens, when they start asking where is he from, what is his name, what is he into, and they may even label it a national security risk to allow somebody from an undesirable tribe, for example, to do that. So these issues are there. Now, if we must grow past where we are today, Judah Jumoke, we shouldn't even be exporting yams. Let us do the one that Audugo was putting yams overseas was because of the pharmaceutical element in our yams. There is even a law prohibiting raw materials from being exported from Nigeria. Ideally, we should process them here. It's like the cocoa problem. You have cocoa, you send it to Switzerland.
And then you buy chocolate.
It's not different from the crude
exactly.
arrangement.
So what we must do is to make sure that our own, but you see, it like I said, it will take, when they were doing this, auctioning also, or federal, whatever, and they said, okay, now they are giving the oil palm to a northerner, they are giving this one to you. Those things have to die.
They have
If
to
you,
know.
yeah, so if you look for competence, look for integrity, look for the things you look for. You will achieve it without caring who is getting what. But until we sort that problem out, we just may not be able to go past that Rubicon.
Yeah, all right. The conversation will continue. When we come back, Juro Olajumoke Alaude James will be looking at Easter celebration 2024 for Nigerians. Please stay with us.
Middleman.
You're welcome back, and you're still watching The Middlemen on Enterprise TV. My case today is anything to celebrate this Easter. Nigerians are looking for anything to celebrate under this administration, from kidnapped school children's return, while areas in the Middle Belt region are daily being occupied by foreigners, to Naira rising against the dollar from 1,800 to around 1,000 Naira. Even though before the APC it was 180 Naira to 200 Naira to the dollar. I mean, the APC campaigned by asking if the dollar was good at 246 Naira in 2015, remember? I am particularly happy that petrol may be sold at 488 Naira by per litre this Easter. The last time I bought, it was 630 Naira a litre, sha. Forget that it used to be 87 Naira a litre before the APC government of President Buhari in 2015. The supporters of this government say things went so bad under President Buhari. We shouldn't expect President Tinubu to perform any magic. But the magic that this government is performing by pushing so much forex out to force down its price has to be studied. How sustainable is that? Isn't it also magic that we removed fuel subsidy, but it's the NNPC that's fixing the new price of petrol at 488 Naira per litre, as rumored though? Will my independent petroleum marketer sell at the same price? Because I drove today and it's still the same old price. Look, we don't really care for government magic. We just want something to celebrate under this government. Anything at all. I mean, it's been all gloomy in the atmosphere since subsidy is gone on May 29th, 2023. Anything now is good news. I want to also mention how we're celebrating reps for constituency projects done in their names, even though the money is paid by the federal government. That is definitely government magic. Federal government is building new hostels across 36 higher institutions. I saw the one in Unilag is named after Femi Gbajabiamila. Why? My own rep is putting solar street lights in my estate. They say we should roll out the drums in appreciation. The only project he has done after representing us for 12 years in the house. I've seen him do this around my constituency since last year, putting his name on every single pole. The lights are up, and we will celebrate my estate being lit at night this Easter. Anything to celebrate, Abby? My verdict. Nigeria's form of democracy is laying into even Democrats. A politician comes to beg you for votes, may rig themselves in, then you start to beg them for good governance, and then thank them for showing workings. Even when the money being spent is your own, and they're being paid millions just to show up each month. But we will celebrate our small wins this Easter, even if they really are in progress from where we were in 2014, 2015. Salah.
Well, this case is a satire of the misfortune of the Nigerian state. But I think that if you are spiritually minded, there's a lot to celebrate, given that Easter is not for the celebration of material things. Easter is a significant celebration of the death and the resurrection of Jesus Christ, according to the Christian faith. But that is not to say we should not demand for good governance. And that is not to say that our leaders should cease doing the right things or making sure that we have what is required of us. For your constituency, you say after 12 years, what you could see is the street lights wherein your representative
Wrote his name on each pole.
Yes. Well, you know, under an ideal democratic situation, it's not the responsibility of your representative in the House to carry out projects.
True.
Yes, it's not. His responsibility is to make laws. Section 4 of the 1999 Constitution as amended said that the duty of the legislature or parliament is to make laws for the good governance of the country. Okay, but in Nigeria, it was argued that during the time of Obasanjo, that when senators and House Rep members travel to their constituency, the people go around saying that they are not doing anything for them. So they created constituency projects. The idea was that you identify a project in your area, the federal government pay the contractor, then you as a senator or rep member follows up. That was fought to a point where they dismantled and wanted the money directly themselves.
They wanted to be stealing our money?
Yes, so they started having their way, conniving or colluding with contractors, getting this money and not using it for the purpose.
Wow.
And when they do small, they use their name litter all over the place. So they tell you that it is that funds over the years have been used for campaign. Campaign to put themselves in your mind for as long as possible, up until when it gets closer to election, they now resume the appropriate campaign. So we called them that they were not doing anything for us, even though it was not their responsibility. Now they have taken our demands and turned it against us, and using it against us.
I'm just happy that, indeed, as Barrister said at the beginning of his own intervention, that Easter is indeed about resurrection. It's about Jesus Christ. Otherwise, your case is an extremely depressive. Those of
Very depressive.
Very of the likely concussion. To think that you're writing this about a country should sincerely be the material for fiction. But it is not. Sadly, it is Nigeria. It is our country. It is our reality. We are living it. We're not reading Tekena Tamuno or Kenedike. This is something happening in our own lifetime. It is unthinkable that a country's own leaders will turn against its people. And, for once, sometimes we need to step aside and ask ourselves, what is this? Is this normal? Is this acceptable? That all over the world, leaders take responsibility, leaders come in and effect change, leaders look at right and wrong and choose what is right. But in our own case, the things we know are even the things we interrogate. There are many things we don't know that that happen behind the scenes. We never get to know. It was when we began to read people like Segal, Deni and Koda began to see what had happened in government in years, under the likes of Yaradua, even under Abacha. And so the question is, who really is going to bail the cat? Because today is about what is there anything to celebrate this Easter. But Easters come and go. And another Easter will come. Before the next Easter, Christmas will come. Before then, we are also in the Ramadan season. How do Nigerians even find joy? How do Nigerians make themselves happy? It's all private, it's all personal. The government either doesn't owe you anything or does not just offer you anything. Government exists by itself and we exist in our own world. It's like two different realities. Government will take an action.
Unfortunate ones.
And yes, government will take an action. God forbid, it's like having a bad dream and having its effect in real life. Sometimes when the dream is bad, you just thank God that it was a dream and that it went. But when government makes laws that doesn't affect them, but has all the consequences on you, they smile away and you have all the tears to cry. I just hope that someday, somehow, something will happen that will change this narrative. But to think that this is Nigeria and that we are the ones living in it is something to... there was a joke once that somebody said that Satan was angry with God and said, how come you created another hell and you didn't tell me? And he said, which child did you say I created? And he says, Nigeria.
Someone had also said that
come on.
the God was partial when he created Nigeria, that he gave Nigeria very good weather. The rains,
many natural resources.
The natural resources,
abundantly.
It's not too cold, it's not too hot. It's moderately orchestrated and all that. I said the guy was now petitioning God that why would you create Nigeria like that and not create our own country like that? God now said, hold on, let me create the people. So when the people come, you will know whether they have an advantage or disadvantage.
Let me just quickly add something. That I think also part of the problem we have in Nigeria, where we're underwhelming, is we think local. I think we need to start thinking global. Because when I engage with some friends around the world, we engage in
leadership. You mean, sir, leadership.
Even down to us as citizens.
But there's only so much we can do.
No. But you see, we may think there's only so much we can do. But can I tell you that you can actually, you have the power of a citizen to lobby international institutions
Yes.
in favor of Nigeria or against Nigeria.
Very
You
well.
have that power.
Very well.
You have that power. You have power to, if your argument is convincing, they might, if the Nigerian government has presented a case, maybe for a loan or so, but you put together a convincing argument why that loan should not
be honored.
you can be listened to. They
But
can turn it down.
IMF is the one now asking us to come and collect loan.
Who is challenging them?
Nobody.
The Nigerian media is not holding IMF to account. It's not telling IMF, look,
where it exists.
look, and you know the interesting thing, like one of my friends in the US says, that there's so much resources here that we can tell IMF to take a walk. Why? He gave me an illustration this morning that he gave me an illustration of 2 cruise ships. One started from Barcelona and went to South Africa. They didn't stop over in Nigeria. Stopped over at small ports, Sao Tome, Takoradi, and some other places. Then went again from Cape Town back to Barcelona and didn't, for 27 days, and didn't stop over at Apapa port. You know, I said that little things like that have global significance, they don't matter to Nigerians. That's why we think local.
They don't care.
But you should begin to think global. Because if the people on that cruise ship stop over at Apapa port, and maybe they come out, go to the city, to buy things and all that, they will take photographs, they will take videos, they will buy things, and then they will go back with memories of Nigeria and
sell Nigeria. It's tourism.
So, you want them to kidnap them in Lekki? We'll take a big break right now. When we return, do you ever say you will be saying why the dollar is not Nigeria's problem? I mean, after seeing bridges falling down in Baltimore, please stay with us. We'll be right back.
Middleman.
Welcome back to the middlemen of jurors. My case. The dollar became a behemoth when our love and reverence for it grew unabatedly. We left the Naira and began to transact in dollar even within our own country as a measure of a lazy civilization and a low self-esteem until it became an albatross. The dollar is not the problem. The Naira-dollar exchange rate, often blamed for economic problem, is but a symptom, not the root cause that often burdens deep-rooted issues, complex and manifold across governance, policies, and system they unfold. Corruption, mismanagement, and lack of accountability are factors impacting the economy's stability. Weak infrastructure, inadequate investment in key sector, further hampering the growth, leaving citizens as defectors. Unemployment, inequality, a growing wealth gap, all intertwined in a problematic trap. Education and healthcare system requires attention to build a strong foundation and alleviate the tension. Diversification of the economy, reducing oil dependency, encouraging entrepreneurship, fostering creativity, investing in agriculture, manufacturing, and technology will bring long-term progress, fostering prosperity. It is crucial to address fiscal discipline and transparency, creating an environment for sustainable activity. Implementing reforms, attracting foreign investment will uplift the nation and alleviate discontentment. So, while the exchange rate has impact, no doubt, addressing underlying issue is what it's about. For only by tackling fundamental problems at the core can Nigerian economy truly soar. My verdict. My verdict underscored the story of 3 men who had committed a common offense in a far country. One a Nigerian, a Ghanaian, and the last a South African. In that country, the punishment for the offense was a 50 strokes of the cane. Before the caning, the offenders were informed by the king to ask for any two things they would want to assuage the pain. The Ghanaian asked for pain relief medication and a skincare product before he took the 50 strokes. The South African asked for food and alcohol so that when he was drunk, he would not feel the pain. The Nigerian said that he would want the strokes of cane to be increased from 50 to 100. The Ghanaian boss yelling at the Nigerian and calling him a fool. The king ordered the Ghanaian to calm down and allow the Nigerian to make his second wish. The Nigerian asked that the Ghanaian be tied to his back while he is flogged. The moral of the story is that of our choices. While some make economic choices and policies to protect all from pain and anguish or restrict pain to themselves, our leaders make policies and economic choices that inflict pain on others. We must deal with and check the choices and policies we make as a country to ensure we do not make policies or indulge in habits that inflict pain on others, as we currently do with the dollarization of the Nigerian economy, the excessive fixation on the dollar, and neglecting other variables for economic resuscitation. I shall go to Rabbi again.
An interesting case indeed, Rabbi, when one considers the very far-reaching implications that have come with, harmfully so, that have come with what you also carefully called the dollarization of the Naira. I have to, of Nigerian business, I have to say that one has also been witness to where it's been said that to participate in this program here, the fee is so and so, and it's in dollars. And this has gone on for a long time. I remember a very long-drawn debate over 3 persons who wanted to be ministers in Nigeria one time. And they said that the president was going to pay them in dollars. Ghana went to court and said, no, this shouldn't be. But I think that by and large, a nation's currency is part of its national pride and identity. When for some reason your own currency takes backseat in your own country, and people derive more confidence, derive more joy, derive more stability doing business with another currency in your country, it means that something has damaged your own economy, and that something needs to be done. I'm glad the barrister didn't just say, yes, he said the dollar is not the problem, because there are fundamental core issues that must be taken care of. Until those are, until we are producing again, until we are manufacturing again, until we are able to come to a point of parity with what is going on elsewhere in the world, and are able to have our own currency, compete competitively with what's going on, we will continue to be subservient to the dollar. It's a pity and it's a shame, but that in our own country, the dollar takes takes precedence over our own Naira is what shouldn't even be contemplated.
I think the problem is that we think that the dollar is such an important currency that we focus so much on the dollar. We forget the history of how the dollar became the global currency of trade. It used to be the pound. Mm. But somehow, certain things happened and it became the dollar. But even at that, nobody restricts you to the use of the dollar. You have an economy, you have economic policies, you have a national assembly. And there are things you can actually reserve for yourself without subjecting your exchange, your exchange of goods and services in your country to certain influences. But the point is, those in power, those in influential positions are actually benefiting from the killing of the Naira. Mm. So, for me, I think we should just accept the fact that let's just either kill the Naira or weaken it further so that we can spur more Nigerians into agriculture, into production. And then when our exports rise, and then we now take certain measures to internationalize.
But is it automatic? Even the measure to internationalize,
I'll give you an example. Do you know we talk about yams from Nigeria?
Yes.
But you know the interesting thing, Ghana comes to Nigeria to get yam seedlings, plant in Ghana and export. Because it's easier to process export from Ghana than from Nigeria. So it is not Ghanaian yam they export, it's actually Nigerian yams. So why don't we ourselves take these things to some of these countries, produce them, and foster a kind of, reverse mechanism, reverse economic mechanism, whereby we are present there, we produce there, but we have, the effect will reach Nigeria.
So we export it unprocessed.
So the dollar...
We can, for instance, the seedlings are part of export. Why do we have to export already produced yams?
When a country
we can export the seedlings. If the seedlings are the issue, we can export the seedlings. Then we can now encourage Nigerians in Ghana, for instance, to produce yam in huge quantities, such that the companies that will be exporting this yam will be Nigerian companies. Companies of Nigerian origin.
So that's an entirely different ball game now.
So you are saying that we should export yam seedlings from Nigeria, where we have farmland everywhere. So countries where they are planting on their rooftops, based on technology and ingenuity.
No, you're looking at it sentimentally. You know why? Ghana has keyed in.
May I answer you why I am sentimental? The dollar is not the problem.
Let me finish.
The politicians are the problem. Can we just carry all of our politicians and sacrifice them this Easter as sacrificial lamb? The Muslims are also fasting. We want to use our politicians as rams now.
This is your proposal. Hold on. This is your proposal. I have to address it so that it does not escape. Sacrificing our politicians to which God? Let us not.
We are not even agreed.
Let us not join hands in cannibalism.
No,
we stay away. We don't need to agree. See, providence and the forces of nature, and then perhaps if there are consequences in the legal system, we'll someday catch up with them. Okay, let's leave it at that. And to say that between 1961 we got independence, or 1973, we were using the pound in Nigeria. And in 1973, we decided to own a currency, to have the Naira, for which, if you check the developmental pace between 1960 to 1973 and 1973,
to 2024,
into when we had the whole of 70s and 80s was a blue economy for the Nigerian state.
Yes.
We had pyramids of granite, we had cocoa, we had everything that you can talk of, okay? We messed everything up, okay? But I think that our current fixation on the dollar, even when, just go to a computer village, what you hear is dollar don't cost, dollar don't cost, dollar don't cost.
Which is a
and that influence is false impression.
It's a false impression, because the point is this, it's not about the cost of the dollar. There is the cost of money.
No, but that's how it comes to the common man.
No, there's
doing
the cost
business
of,
on the street.
No, it's not about the common man. The common man does not make policies. The common man does not run the country. When people in government who have to implement policies,
yes,
are the ones actually actuating, activating the people on the streets,
yes,
to take advantage of the same people on the streets in negative sense. That is when they just bring up the excuse, dollar. Now it's catching up on us. Because we have seen that the dollar is not the problem. Otherwise, if the dollar is the problem, then fuel, diesel, cooking gas should have come down immediately. But NNPC yesterday said that they had not reduced the price of petrol, and diesel. So that tells you that there are certain other fundamental issues that are being couched under the dollar.
Yes.
Corruption is one of it. Mismanagement of resources, lack of infrastructure, public healthcare, education, all are listed in this case.
And lack of clear-cut economic direction.
And ease of doing business.
Yes, clearly.
When we return, we'll hear Juro Siriabak, who believes Africans' youth hold the key to political salvation.
Middleman.
Yeah, welcome back to the Middleman of Juros. My case, Senegal has a president. Yes, Senegal has a new president. He is Bassirou Diomaye Faye. We should know for the record that he is 44 years of age and came into the race at the last minute and was congratulated by his main rival even before the final results were announced. I have a feeling someone picked a lesson from Nigeria and Liberia. Can Africa's youth capitalize on this, build momentum, and achieve traction that becomes a renaissance for the continent? Can we have a new breed, new ideas, new identity, and cultural originality that puts us in viable contention with the Committee of Nations? My verdict, Africa's youth, this is a rallying cry, and it's to you.
Well, at some point, Nigeria will have to be telling Senegal that, do you know that we're older than you? You know that thing where you feel disrespected because you are not up to par with somebody that is younger than you. And you have to now tell them your age. When you are 45 years old and a 25-year-old is the president of your company, and he says, go and call Siri for me. What nonsense is this proposal? You say, my young man, do you know I'm older than you? You must tell them your age. Senegal. Show more age one.
because in Africa we respect our elders so much.
You must be 98. You run for president.
You raise some issues. You raise some issues whether can Nigerian and African youth use this as an inspiration to mount the momentum for development. I'm going to speak for my country, and I'm going to say that the Nigerian youths are not ready for this.
Jesus.
Throughout the period of campaign in Senegal and all that, I didn't see the coloration or compartmentalization
of ethnicity
and tribalism and religion and the rest of that. There was, an overwhelming support for the candidate of each of the, citizens. They came out and do exactly what they should do by way of their civic responsibility. You understand? Now, in the last elections, we had a movement, a new movement, the P2B, the Obedience. You had those who supported the current president and those who supported PDP and all that. And it got to a point where people were fighting, People, started keeping malice, People, some persons who call themselves the greatest movement were casting aspersion on others. And during the election, youths came out with their different kind of weapons to chase certain tribes out of the place and all that. So, how do you produce the Senegal result?
While being divided.
With this analysis that we have here.
Riddle me
so
this.
I don't think we are ready for that.
Riddle me this. Cyril, how many ethnicities are there in Senegal? Do you know?
No, I can't.
There are many.
How many religions?
There are many.
So I think they're largely Islamic.
Okay.
Yeah, they're largely Islamic.
Because I was going to respond to Juro Evans and say that, you see, the divisions that you see in Nigeria, the politicians create only during elections. We are different. Because Juro, Emeka and I were speaking before the show, and he mentioned when it comes to go and bring something that will benefit all of us, they say, now Yoruba man, are you sure you didn't put something in it? But when it even comes to Yoruba, then you now say, what is Ijebu new? Away.
If the politicians create it, must you buy into it? That's what I'm saying.
They have poverty.
Which reinforces what you said, that Nigerian youths are not ready.
They are not.
Nigerian youths are actually...
You know why they are not ready?
There were two vibrant Nigerian youths that people looked up to, could become president or vice president. One was Fela Drotoye. The other was the other fellow, very brilliant fellow.
Showore?
No, not Showore. There's another fellow, very brilliant economist. But the interesting thing, the Tinubu system swallowed them up.
Give them appointments.
Give them appointments, and that's all. Now, for me, one thing I look at that, I see in this compensatory.
Was it bad that they
justification.
took? Was it bad that they took the appointment?
Yes, it was bad because one.
But they can run for presidency later from within.
No, let me tell you something about running from within. You have to build a momentum.
The party already have a timetable.
Independently.
For old men.
Yes, not necessarily because you want to run for president, but you must build a platform.
I agree. See, I agree. See,
compensatory
Vice President that they
compensatory displacement.
Yeah.
Major problem in Nigeria.
Yeah.
They just take, you see,
They buy you over.
They give, and look at both fellows are actually in the office of the vice president. So where is the intellectual content? That is the social assistant on values and national orientation. The other fellows.
They just use dollar block their mouth.
Now, the question is this. How do you expect Nigerian youths to actually show that, yes, we are ready for leadership when there isn't a clear orientation? Nigerian youths can easily move from PDP to APC to Labour.
As long as
weaponized poverty.
Even with the education.
Can I ask a question?
Look at the things that Nigerian youths, look at the things they propagate. Now, for this country to really make progress, you see things like tribalism, religion must die. They must just die.
And they cannot die.
I have a question. Should
the core of every human is their religion.
Before I come to the question, we also what Nigerian youth did.
Also they think.
We also what Nigerian youth did during NSAS.
Yes.
Without centralized government.
That was
Yes.
spontaneous.
Sure. So it means it's in them. But let's now come to these youth are products of Nigeria also?
Yes.
Are they going to be ready or are they supposed to be prepared?
No, I wish
Good question.
permit me to counter what they say.
Good question.
When we keep saying products of Nigeria, is it that Nigeria is a peculiar jungle that is producing the wrong kind of people?
The youth
now.
Every country has its own positive.
No, Nigeria not happen to you. Nigeria happen to Nigeria.
Why? Because these are the wrong things.
Juremeka, you have Yaga Africa that pushed for not young to run.
Yes.
Okay? Those guys have become a fundamental election monitoring group all over Africa.
Yes.
And they are youth.
Yes.
They are doing something. So you can't let the youth off. But I'm asking.
When President Buhari was signing it, though, he said to them,
But I'm asking, should the youth be prepared or be ready? That's the question.
The question must be thrown to the youths again and again, and they must be forced to be ready, because you know what? The youths, interestingly, the biggest innovations we've had
you are not answering the
in
question.
the last 10 years.
Because you're the one
You are not answering the question. Should the youth be prepared?
That's what I'm saying. No, I'm learning from the point of view. You have people like Aboyeji. You have the PayStar founder.
Yeah.
You have young people who have got innovation. As a matter of fact, in the world today, Nigeria is one of the countries with the best payment system.
So that means we are prepared.
They are prepared, but
They are distracted.
They are distracted.
The old know how to buy them off.
Yes.
When they want to do whatever.
So
You see,
compensatory displacement must do away with it.
you see, politics, you have to be formidable and firm to your convictions and aspirations. That's what politics is. So if you are going to be one leg in, one leg out, when Atiku bring money, you collect. When Tinubu bring money, you collect. Then you come and stand at the center and start to talk. You can't work like that. The way the NSAS was organized, if any of these politicians had brought money to see, let's go, they will not take it, because the way it was organized, it was being bankrolled with blockchain technology and all that. Even the federal government was confused as to how it was being funded.
Yes.
So let the youth, use what they know how to do best, technology. Leverage on it, displace these old people, because they are not going to go anywhere, and they are already spent. They are spent, and as at the time they were growing up, before they got spent, they enjoyed all the juicy resources of this country. They went to school free of charge.
True.
While they were in the university, they were feeding them morning and night.
True.
They graduated, they gave them cars. Now, they got into power and decided that not in their lifetime
will anybody else
enjoy what they enjoy. So what you do in such situations is that you can say that partly.
Let God actually keep them alive so that they see the chance.
Yes, the youth can actually also resolve, because the elders, the politicians, and political leaders have made a resolution, but subconscious resolution to ensure that the young never gets a worthwhile experience in the Nigerian space. Now, let the youth make their own resolution to ensure that the elderly are displaced from the political arena so that the youths can rebuild this country. All over the world, when you have decadence, it is not the old people that will come and put blocks together.
I agree.
The youths are the ones that will come and put the blocks together. When things go bad, the youths will make the change. Check history from the lives of Aristotle. As at the time they started propagation, they were about 14, 15 years. Jesus Christ was about 30 years.
And I'm a youth too.
These are people who, change the world in their space as at their time. So what are you doing, the Nigerian youth? Pull out from your shell.
The Kogi boy who developed an app that was bought by, was it Google also? For so much, for a lot of money. Now you have Nigerian youths who are doing great. And if you hear what
there's a new one developed that they use in monitoring bandits by young boys.
If you hear what Nigerian government, Nigerian government has come out to say that terrorists are being funded through betting platforms. That is
God.
They came out the other time to say
Binance.
that just recently
Binance,
that was Binance, Forex Time and others.
They say was FX.
They look at this ENSAS. They say it was funded by crypto. Now, 3 instances youth-oriented. That means if the youth sit down, they can actually turn.
But the youth need a rallying point.
That is it.
And all of that.
They need to be faithful to their dream.
They need to be faithful.
Because the reason I'm saying this is because while the NSAS was ongoing, government was able to mobilize youth also to go counter. They brought them in jeeps.
Yes.
Dropped them, they came down.
With weapons.
They took weapons against other youths.
Yes.
So we must build a kind of youth system where it is wholesome and everyone believes in the dream. And it's going to be a collective one to ensure that we, dismantle the behemoths called the dinosaurs, put them behind us, recreate Nigeria and give it our best.
I can't agree more.
You say we shouldn't sacrifice them to the gods, this sister.
No, we should not.
Until we agree on it.
We should not. As a matter of fact, the clarion call has been made to us, the Nigerian youth. I do hope that when the roll is called up, our names, we would answer and do the needful and rise up to the occasion. But until we come away again, that's all on the Middleman for today. We'd like to thank you for being here with us. I'd like to thank my jurors as well for making the show on this particular episode, this Easter episode for 2024. I also thank you, the viewer, for watching. If you want to join us next time, do well to subscribe to our YouTube channel at Enterprise TV 7, and certainly do check out our website at www.enterprisetvnews.com. Until next time, it's bye for now.
Middleman. Enterprise TV, a tradition of truth.